Left face. Forward, march.
In a forest grove not far from the nation's capital,
For God.
For God.
For country.
For country.
a group of men and women gather.
For race.
For race.
For clan.
For clan.
As the light fades, they enact a ritual over a century old, but as fresh and searing as the flame they ignite.
Klansmen, the fiery cross.
A cross on fire. They are known as the Invisible Empire for a reason. They thrive in secrecy, almost never permitting outsiders access. Who are they?
I could be your neighbor. You don't know who I am. You could think the world of me, but yet, if you see me in this hood and knew who I were, your whole thoughts could change.
I've been a fireman. I've been in the Navy.
The people wearing these robes walk among us.
If you want to be in the Klan, fight for the Klan. I fight for it 7 days a week.
Witness the Ku Klux Klan this summer
White power!
in Martinsville, Virginia.
White power! White power!
And in Tupelo, Mississippi, a couple of weeks ago, a similar scene.
White power!
Over the past 4 months, Nightline has been granted rare access to the resurgent Klan. Their rituals, their people, their message of racial segregation.
If we do not protect our race and protect our people, they're going to destroy us. They're going to kill us.
To get to the heart of it, we headed south to meet the Grand Dragon of the Mississippi White Knights of the KKK. The Clavern made infamous in the film Mississippi Burning.
You already been told once, Nick.
It's impossible not to think of what once happened here, the territory scarred by the battles of the Civil Rights era.
A Klan bomb ripped apart Birmingham's 16th Street Baptist Church, killing 4 children attending Bible class.
So we're in Birmingham, Alabama. And just down here is the jail where Martin Luther King Jr. wrote the famous letter from a Birmingham jail. Along the way, we make a stop at the Southern Poverty Law Center, where Mark Potok and his colleagues have been fighting the KKK in courtrooms and classrooms for decades. Many of the Klan's people we've talked to say Barack Obama has been our single most effective recruiting tool in the last 4 or 5 years.
Well, I think there's some truth to that. Immediately after Obama was elected, we saw 2 of the largest hate websites in the country crash.
Potok told us that by the late 80s, the Klan had dwindled to a few hundred. They now number closer to 6,000. He believes they can be very dangerous.
It's dangerous not so much because, a whole bunch of Klansmen get together in a room and plan to blow up a federal building or to murder 1,000 people with a bomb. So, it's these kind of lone wolf characters that get frustrated with their leaders, that break away, one day walk out of their house and start shooting.
With that in mind, at a gas station outside of Tupelo, the Grand Dragon appeared. He is also known as Stephen Howard. 31 years old, he says he's an Iraq War veteran. He comes with a loaded pistol on his hip and tells me he's got serious PTSD. We agree to follow him to a remote location where cell phone service is spotty, next to a trailer by the woods. They ask us not to photograph Howard's 11-year-old daughter, but she is there, as is his wife Nicole, presiding over the food. Between eating and target practice, there's work to be done. Howard and his Klan brothers are preparing this 16-foot cross.
This is just the torches. We use the torches for the cross lighting itself. You have to wrap them and you have to put some white baling wire around them.
Klansmen, behold the fiery cross, still brilliant.
When we come back, the burning cross that's terrorized people for generations, and the frightening message the Klan. The air reeks of kerosene.
That's what we call it, Klan cologne.
We're at a KKK rally in the heart of Mississippi, a countryside still haunted by memories of lynchings and church bombings from decades ago. Pastor Wallace Hartsfield remembers those days only too well. He witnessed a black man dragged through the streets.
They shot the man and they hanged him and then used his body for target practice so as to teach black folk a lesson.
This is what we're going to need some help at.
But this is not the distant past. This is just last month in a secluded property in the woods where people have come to join the Grand Dragon Stephen Howard for what they call a cross lighting.
America is at turmoil, and we're lighting crosses to let people know that America is at turmoil right now.
This Klansman, who asked we not show his face for fear he'd be fired from his job, starts to get ready for the evening's rituals.
But you're wearing the robes of traditional terrorists, of traditional haters.
That's just the outlook that they want to give you. That ain't true. Not everybody was like that.
So you think this is what a good Christian man does?
Yeah, this is our Christianity. I mean, that's just plain and simple.
Howard says he's allowed us to come here to show us the new Klan is neither hate-filled nor violent. Yet what we heard and saw during our time with them suggests otherwise.
Black people and white people are nowhere related. In my opinion, I think black people evolved from animals. And I believe that we need to be separated. Whites and blacks need to be separated. I don't agree with race mixing. Let them set up their own state where they belong and give them their own homeland.
And if your daughter, when she got older, came home and said, I want to go out with a black boy,
I'd disown her. Wouldn't have nothing else to do with her for the rest of my life.
Because of who she loved.
No, it's not love. If you love somebody of your own race.
Who decreed that?
God decreed that. Jesus decreed that.
I thought Jesus said love each other.
Jesus said love your neighbor, but if you read the Bible.
As yourself.
You know, there's an argument to be made that by our covering the Ku Klux Klan, we play into their hand, we help them recruit. What do you make of that?
Every time you have a story on the front page of the local newspaper about a Klan rally or something along those lines, the Klan or that particular group does get a member or two. On the other hand, 99.9% people who read about that are essentially inoculated against them. I think it's actually harming them more than it's helping them in the end.
Back in Mississippi as night falls, Steve and his wife Nicole tell us something stunning about Steve's 11-year-old daughter, who is here for all of the night's proceedings.
Your 11-year-old daughter has a role?
Mm-hmm. She has her own role.
So she was 8. And she chose?
She wanted it.
But you think at 11 she can understand?
I think she understands more than what people. Children are very perspective.
She has a beautiful robe.
She wants to be like her daddy.
This is the first time I've actually robed up, so it's a little bit big on me.
And now it's time for all members of the group to robe up.
Where you at, Mom?
I'm right here, son. I'll get you.
I've read in some of the literature that there are some people who think that if Barack Obama is reelected, the storm, something they call the storm, is going to come.
Oh, it's going to happen.
What's the storm?
I fear it. War. And he's going to start it. He's going to start it. I fear it. I feel it. I feel it coming on. And it ain't just me. It's just, it's going to be another war in this United States of America. If he gets elected back to office, it's going to happen. If he gets 4 more years, Barack Obama will ruin this country. And white people will be in concentration camps. And if you don't believe white people can't be in concentration camps, people sadly mistaken.
And his solution to avoid this supposed impending storm is an all-white South, where all blacks, Hispanics, and Jews are banned, given someplace else, he says, to live in America.
I want to make sure I understand you. If the goal is white separatism, separating the races, the only way to separate the races is using violence. You're not going to be able to just say nicely, please leave.
If they will peacefully go, then yeah. But if they won't peacefully go, that's the only way is through violence. It's through making them go. That's it.
And you'd be willing to be part of that. It's a race war you're talking about, essentially.
Very much so.
His hero and predecessor was a convicted murderer and former head of the Mississippi White Knights.
What do you think about Sam Bowers?
He's the greatest Klansman that ever lived.
Well, Sam Bowers was accused and convicted of murder.
I don't endorse murder.
What about other forms of violence?
I don't endorse murder.
I guess that means that other forms of violence may be okay.
You have to form your own opinion on that.
You stand right there.
These words seem particularly ominous as the members line up, preparing to head into the woods to enact a tradition.
Klansman, do you accept the light?
Yes, sir.
The Grand Dragon, Stephen Howard, leads his fellow Klansmen in that notorious ceremony.
Klansman, do you accept the light?
Yes, I do.
Klansman, do you accept the light?
I accept this light.
It is legal done here in the woods on private property, It is 10 years in federal prison if done on a black family's lawn to intimidate them.
Klansmen for Mississippi!
Mississippi!
Klansmen for America!
For America!
Klansmen, behold the fiery cross, still brilliant. All the troubled history failed to quench its hallowed flame. Let me say that the cross is an inspiration, a sign of the Christian religion, a symbol of faith, hope, and love. We do not burn but light the cross to signify that Christ is the light of the world.
White power!
White power!
White power! White power! White power!
As the fiery cross is reduced to a few sparking embers, the Clavern members leave the clearing and head back to the trailer.
I just want to ask you one other thing about the gun. Do you have it with you all the time?
Everywhere I go, concealed weapon. U.S. government gave me that. I lost a lot of good friends of mine fighting for this country for nothing. For nothing. All because of the U.S. government.
You're mad at the government.
I'm very mad at the government. I mean, yeah, I do. I got a lot of hate in me. A lot of hate for nothing. I got a lot of built up in me, a lot of hurt.
Pastor Hartsfield knows all about hurt.
It hurts deeply, and I struggled for a long time not to hate those people that did that. Good will overcome evil. Right will overcome wrong.
On this night, you can only hope the pastor's right.
Now to the other news of this Wednesday night. We're going to begin with two teenagers from New York City charged with murder after police say they and some others targeted an Asian man, carjacked his Lexus, and then strangled him. It happened in Queens. Nina Pineda with the story. She's in the Whitestone section for us. Nina?
And Bill, you know what's so disturbing about this case is police blame the same group of teenagers and are charging them with a similar crime 2 weeks ago. They targeted an Asian male, allegedly. They choked him and robbed him, but he survived. David Cow, who worked here at the World Journal paper as a consumer news reporter and sales exec, did not. He was choked and beaten and left for dead. The desk where journalist and account executive David Cow worked for 11 years sits empty. His colleagues at the World Journal are in disbelief the 48-year-old father was murdered like this.
Such a tragedy happened to us, we can't believe it, it happened to us.
Even now, my hands keep on shaking, because I still cannot believe this, what happened to him.
Cow was killed in a carjacking. Two teenagers, Chris Levy and Corey Azor, charged with felony murder. Prosecutors say the pair made confessions about looking for an Asian male to rob. Spotting Cow sleeping in his double-parked Lexus, the victim was put into a chokehold, pulled into the back seat, beaten and robbed.
If you want money, you take money. If you want car, you take the car. Why you want to kill him?
The DA's office says in Corey Azor's oral and videotape statements given to detectives at the 109, the 16-year-old says Cow had a pulse when they dropped him off on the side of the road. Chris Levy allegedly said their victim wasn't moving when the teens carried the body out of the car. Levy's attorney argued in court the statements should be inadmissible.
Robert, you said in court that you questioned the reliability of the statements, the confessions that they made to the officers. On what grounds?
I have no comment at this time. I've said what I've said.
The friends and family of the young suspects being charged as adults were emotional in court, but also refused to talk about the charges their sons are facing.
Do you want to say anything to us about the guilt or innocence of your son? Do you say on his behalf? Do you believe that he did this?
If a jury is allowed to hear those statements in court, they're going to hear some very disturbing things. Here's an excerpt of what was read at today's arraignment from the high school sophomore. I punched him in the face until he wasn't moving. We carried his body out of the car. I went through his pockets. Then we drove away in his car. The suspects drove around in David Cow's Lexus for several days until they were arrested in it. Both of them were denied bail. We're live in the Whitestone section.
The banned beverage Four Loko was brought up today during the sentencing of a man convicted of robbery and a hate crime. 23-year-old Ahmed Mohammed was sentenced to nearly 7 years in prison. He pleaded guilty to attacking Shane McClellan in May. His face was swollen and bloody, and he told police he was beaten up because he's white. Today in court, Mohammed's attorney stopped short of blaming Four Loko for what happened, but said it was unfortunate Mohammed had it to drink just before the attack.
Really, I don't remember much of what happened that much that night. I wish that I can take it back.
I deeply regret everything that I did.
You know, I hope he learned something from this, and we can just move on with our lives and stuff.
The judge called Mohammed's actions a very serious mistake and sentenced him to just 3 months under the maximum for these charges.
One of the men who brutally attacked a West Seattle teenager in a hate crime is now headed to prison. The teen has recovered. The emotional scars for his family still run deep. King 5's Mimi Jung was at his sentencing and joins us now live from Satellite Control. Mimi.
Jean, this is a rare case in which the victim is white and he was attacked because of his race. The father of the victim was in court today and he held back tears, telling me afterwards the punishment doesn't fit the crime.
The standard range is 36 months.
After nearly a year of anguish and torment, finally, closure for Tim McClellan.
I just wanted to stress to the court the continued daily impact that this abduction and brutal torture of my son has made on our family.
One of the two men who attacked his 16-year-old son Shane in a disturbing hate crime last May heard his fate today. A judge sentenced 21-year-old Jonathan Backering to 6 years in prison for an assault that left Shane McClellan battered and bruised. Shane was walking to his West Seattle home when two young men beat him, burned the back of his neck with cigarette butts, whipped him with a belt while making racist remarks, then robbed him. It was a spontaneous and random attack that Backering's lawyer says was fueled by alcohol. In court today, Backering, through a translator, took responsibility and apologized.
I hope you could forgive us of everything we had done. I beg your patience and forgiveness.
For Tim McClellan, that apology is the first step in healing and forgiveness for his family.
Physically, Shane's fine, and emotionally he's doing great. We just, we don't discuss it, and it's, just try not to bring up any bad memories or anything.
Backering and the other defendant, Ahmed Mohammed, both pleaded guilty in order to avoid a trial, and both will be spending the next 6 years in prison.
Cheryl Green was 14 years old. She was an 8th grader living in a Harbor Gateway neighborhood where black and Latino gang members were at war. On the day she was killed, police say Latino gang members were looking for a black person, any black person, to shoot, and they found one. Eyewitness News reporter Darsha Phillips is in downtown L.A. and has reaction from the girl's family.
It is the order of this court that you shall, for each murder conviction individually, suffer the death penalty.
22-year-old Jonathan Fajardo showed no emotion when the judge sentenced him to death for killing 14-year-old Cheryl Green and a witness to the crime, Christopher Ash.
I tried to have some compassion for him, but seeing that this man doesn't, it's like he's a monster. It's like he's a monster, and how can you have passion for someone like that?
Fajardo, 18 at the time of the killing, opened fire on a group of African Americans in Harbor Gateway. Police say Fajardo, a member of the 204th Street gang, targeted the group because they were black.
I thought those days were over with, and we got out there and did what we had to do to bring, notoriety to the situation.
The killing sparked an outcry of protest from community members and elected officials.
I further find that the murder was premeditated, willful, and committed with malice aforethought.
Fajardo was eligible for the death penalty on the special circumstances of multiple murder, committing a hate crime based on race, and committing the crime for a gang. The victim's family say they are relieved justice has finally been served.
She'll always be with us, and I'm just glad that this part is over with, that we can finally move forward, that Fajardo got what he deserved.
Now, along with that death sentence, Fajardo was sentenced to over 200 years in prison for attempted murder charges involved with that 2006 shooting. Reporting live in downtown Los Angeles.